Good morning, students. Let us discuss next part of the lesson, Indian rivers and water resources. We have two types of drainage systems in India. One is Himalayan rivers and another one is peninsular rivers. The Himalayan rivers are Indus, Ganga and Brahmaputra, and peninsular rivers are Krishna, Godavari, okay, Mahanandi, Kaveri. These are peninsular rivers. So out of this, Godavari is the largest peninsular river system in India. Next, we are using water for different purposes. One is water for agriculture, and water used for domestic purpose and for animals, water for industrial use. So next, water used in Tungabhadra river basin. So it is also one of the peninsular river. Okay. So Tungabhadra shared by the three southern states, Kerala, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. So some disputes also there between these states for use of Tungabhadra water. Okay, Tungabhadra is the one of the tributary of the largest river system, Krishna. So it originates in the Western Ghats, which a catchment area of 71,417 square kilometers. What is the meaning of catchment area? So this river flows through 71,417 kilometers. It flows this much distance, of which 57,671 square kilometers area in Karnataka, the rest in remaining Telugu states. So the Tungabhadra basin has two parts: the upper and middle catchment in Karnataka, and the lower portion of the catchment in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. Okay, clear? So the Tungabhadra flows through three states: Karnataka, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. Okay, there are some interstate agreements are there to share Tungabhadra water. So according to the official statistics, most of these states cultivate more lands in these states. Okay, farmland is the main land cover in these states. So remaining land covered with trees and groves, fallow land, cultivable waste, permanent patches. So forest and natural vegetation cover the rest of the area. Every state should have 33% of area should be covered with trees. Okay, but no state had that much tree cover on the land. So some of the territory is used for storage by water harvesting system called tanks. So the lower portions of the basin, like Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, are characterized by lower rainfall and drought conditions. Especially in Telangana, it receives very low rainfall, and some parts in Andhra Pradesh also receive less rainfall. So these regions are depending on groundwater for irrigation. Okay, some areas depending on the surface flows by canals that carry water from dams built along Tungabhadra. So these areas depending on borewells or some canals for irrigation. So there is a lot of difference in water availability between these two types of regions. Okay, next, encroachment of public lands for cultivation or for built residential areas or for industries or for mining. The land, tree cover land is reducing. So it results in more land being brought under cultivation at the expense of tree cover. So destruction of the habitat of highly threatened flora and fauna. Inadequate tree cover leads to water runoff at surface flow without getting a chance to recharge the underground system. If there is a tree cover, so the water flow will become slow, then water percolate into ground. If you remove the trees, if you cut the trees, so what will happen? So the water won't be percolate into ground, then groundwater level will be decrease. So it causes the flash floods. Okay, so Tungabhadra Dam has gradually lost its water storage capacity over the decades. So in the beginning, about 50 years ago, the capacity of the river reservoir was 3,766 million cubic meters. Now, because of accumulation of silt due to mining, dust, soil erosion, so the reservoir has lost its storage capacity by as much as 849 million cubic meters of water. Now the capacity of the reservoir is 2,917 million cubic meters. It is reduced by 849 million cubic meters because of this the storage capacity is decreased. Okay, next, conflicts between Karnataka, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh are generally related to availability of water for use. Okay, water is shared based on agreements between state governments. So most of these areas cultivate paddy and sugarcane. These crops required more water. So to change the situation, we should encourage the people to cultivate different cropping pattern. Okay, instead of paddy, they should cultivate millets and other crops. Okay, during the last decades, the number of small towns and industrial areas were increased. So because of that, use of water also increased. So there are 27 functioning large units and 2,543 small units in this river basin. So they consume a large amount of water per day. So industries were permitted to discharge effluents into the river, but so many people agitated against this. Okay, now laws were enacted requiring industry to discharge only treated effluents. After treating the water only, they should discharge into the rivers or canals. These laws are not implemented forcefully and effectively. So hence severe pollution of the river system continues. Okay, so another major important thing is the drinking water, supply of drinking water to different sections of society is more important, but we are unable to providing drinking water to all the people who are living in different places. Okay, next. Thus, the socio-economic aspects are very important for water use management. Conflicts within communities are in a region and across sectors such as use for agriculture, industry, and drinking water are common. Apart from this, interstate disputes between Karnataka and combined Andhra Pradesh arise due to the transboundary nature of the river. So, to solve these problems, we have to implement different plans to improve the water levels or to increase the water harvesting systems. So, we can see Highway Bazar, the village where the harvesting system was implemented. So, Highway Bazar was selected under the Adarsh Grama Yojana of Maharashtra. So, what is the meaning of that? So, some villages should select by the state government to encourage those villages by announcing some financial grants. Okay, so Highway Bazar was also selected as Andhra Grama Yojana of Maharashtra government for watershed and all-round development of the village. So Highway Bazar is located in Ahmednagar district in Maharashtra. So it is situated on the eastern side of the Sahyadri mountain range. So another side of the Sahyadri mountain range was the rain shadow area. So because of these mountains, that another side of the mountains won't get the proper rains. Okay, next, that run north south and separate Konkan, the coastal region, from the rest of Maharashtra. Ahmednagar district is drought prone with an average annual rainfall of about 400 mm. So in Sahara desert, so that is 150 to 100 mm. Okay, next, here the rainfall about 400 mm. So Ahmednagar district is drought prone area. Drought prone area means, so it won't get rains more than 3 or 4 years continuously. So the soil and water conservation works in Highway Bazar were implemented on common lands and on private grasslands. Here common lands means on government lands also. They implemented these water conservation works in government lands as well as in private grasslands. What they did, they constructed continuous counter trenches were dug on the hill slopes to arrest the erosion of soil, harvest water and encourage growth of grass. So what they did, they dug the small canals in the slopes of the hills. So because of that, the water won't flow speedily. Okay, so after filling the one trench or one canal, then water flow into another canal. Like that, the water flows slowly. Then we can stop the erosion of soil. So then water will be stored. Okay, so then because of storage of water, so around that canal, moisture will be increased, then grass will be grow more. Okay, so like that, so they constructed continuous counter trenches, so to arrest the erosion of soil, harvest water and encourage growth of grass. So they constructed different water harvesting structures like check dams. Check dam means they constructed small walls across the streams. Those are called check dams. Next, percolation tanks and loose boulder structures. So plantations on forest lands and roadsides were also part of the program. So to harvest the water, they implemented different plans. When Adarsh Gram Yojana was launched in Maharashtra, there were also some preconditions set for selection of villages. So to select any village for Adarsh Yojana scheme, so they implemented some conditions. So what are those? Most important were the four bandis or bands. So what are those? The four bandis were Kurhat Bandi. One is Kurhat Band. What is the meaning of Kurhat Bandi? Ban on felling trees. They should stop the cutting the trees. So why? Because there is no vegetation. So what will happen? The water won't be percolated into ground. So they don't get rains. That's why they should stop the felling the trees. First Bandi. So second one is Charai Bandi. Charai Bandi means ban of free grazing. So usually in villages, so all farmers graze their animals in the open areas or in forest areas. So the animals will damage the trees. If they eat the plants, they don't grow. That's why they banned. Second ban is Charai Bandi, ban of free grazing. Next, third one is Nas Bandi, family planning. So, because of more population, we are using agricultural lands for or forest lands for construction of houses or mining or factories. That's why we have to reduce the population. Next, and Nasah Bandi, ban on liquor. So they should not drink liquor. So these four bandis they implemented. So people also had to agree to a certain amount of Sramadan, voluntary physical labor, to improve the water, to improve the plantation. So except for the landless who were exempt from it. So like that. So in Highway Bazaar, they also implemented these four bandis. What are those four? Kurhat Bandi, ban on felling trees. Charai Bandi, ban of free grazing. Nas Bandi, family planning. And Nasha Bandi, ban on liquor. Okay, you have to remember four bandis. So because of this, at the time, why they implemented, you can understand why they implemented these four bans. So the significance of these five bans needs to be understood, keeping in mind the situation in Highway Bazaar at that time, that late 1980s. Tree felling and open grazing was common among both rich and poor households. Okay, so the surrounding hillocks, according to many local people, had barren look, no trees on the hills. Soil erosion was prominent and groundwater levels were very low. In addition to this, fodder and fuel wood shortage were common in the village. So there was a ban on free grazing. People were allowed to cut grass and carry it to feed animals. So they don't allow free grazing, but people can take the grass by cutting, okay, to feed the animals. Next, in addition to this, there are other bans also there in that village. So they are added some other bans later. Most significant was the ban on bore wells for irrigation. So if you have a bore wells, what we will do? We brought more water. So then groundwater will be reduced. So growing sugarcane and banana and selling one's land to any outsider. Though these three added later. One is banana and borewells and growing sugarcane and banana. These crops required more water. So they implemented ban on these crops and selling one's land to any outside. We should not sell our Highway Bazaar's people's land to other outsiders other than the Highway Bazaar. Why? Because if outsiders enter into this village, so they don't follow these bonds and they will use those lands for different activities. That's why they banned selling lands to outsiders. Okay. But it was not always a smooth affair. Next. So because of these bans, so slowly the water levels are increased in the Highway Bazaar. So then the irrigated area was increased from 7 to 72 hectares. Previously they cultivated only 7 hectares. Now it is increased in summer crops, has increased in 7 to 72 hectares. So in a year of normal rainfall, there is enough water in the wells to irrigate not only the Kharif, Bajra, but also the Rabi, Jawar and some summer vegetable crops. Because of availability of water, they able to cultivate the second crop in that village. Even in unirrigated land, the improvement in soil moisture level has helped to increase productivity. So they implemented different water harvesting schemes in the government lands also. That's why moisture was increased. Okay. Next, they changed the crop pattern also. Instead of growing sugarcane and banana, they started growing cash crops such as potatoes, onions, fruits, flowers and wheat. So then their income also was also increased. Okay. So because of water availability, so they started second crop. Okay. So that's why the migration also stopped from that village. So the conditions of wage employment have also improved with wage rates going up, so they remain on the low side. Okay, like that. So many changes came in that Highway Bazaar because of water harvesting systems. Okay, next. The main thing is the social control over groundwater extraction and use. No borewells for irrigation, no water intensive crops like sugarcane, and water for irrigation should be taken only through dug wells. They have also worked out certain thumb rules, like if they get good rainfall, then they can take full Rabi crop. If the rainfall is less, then they bring down the area under Rabi, etc. They keep rainfall data meticulously and use it for crop planning and water use prioritization. Because of this, even in years of continuous drought, there was no drinking water shortage. This is mainly because they plan according to the water available. Okay, so now in Highway Bazaars, the improvement of the livestock economy has also helped marginal and small farmers significantly. Concerted efforts have been made to promote Highway Bazaar's dairy industry as means to improve the livelihood of all. Loans have been given to many small farmers. As a result, the number of milch animals in the village has increased. So these developments are clearly linked to the fact that fodder availability has increased due to better productivity. Milk production in the village has also witnessed a more than 20-fold increase from 140 to 3000 liters per day. So like that, so the loans availability increased, and they started growing cows and buffaloes, and the milk production was also improved, and they got more income. So, however, one of the learnings has been that groundwater extraction cannot be controlled at small unit or within a village or boundary. So, if you implement bans in our village, but these bans won't be followed by other villages nearby this village. Okay, so neighboring villages started going for deep borewells and started extracting groundwater over which highway buzzer had no control. Hence, we need institutional norms and understanding at a much large unit like sub basin or river basin. We have to follow all these rules in a large area, not in a small area. Okay, so we'll discuss next part of the lesson in tomorrow. Thank you.